All right. So I think I have you beat. So I actually graduated from Roy High School in Roy, New Mexico, and there were 6 people in my graduating class. So yeah, so I think I got you beat, and probably most people here. So here's my contact information. If anybody would like to email me or follow me on Twitter or look me up on LinkedIn, you can do that there. Today, we're going to talk about just generally the job market. I'm specialized in the IT hiring environment, mainly in technology, project management, quality, things like that. So this presentation is kind of geared towards that. But if you guys have any questions just in general employment, in general what the market's like, I'd be more than happy to talk about that and answer any of those questions. We're going to talk a little bit more about specialties and skills that are in demand, 2014 salary trends and what we've seen this year and what we can expect next year, and then job security, branding yourself and networking. It's really a different job market for job seekers and for people that are unemployed looking for work and people that are employed and are kind of passively looking. It's a different market. You have to brand yourself a little bit differently, so we're going to talk about that. So a little bit about me. I kind of told you a little bit, but I have 7 years of IT staffing experience, all with Robert Half. I specialize in consulting with candidates and employers and kind of finding out what their needs are and helping them to meet those human resource missions. I've done full life cycle recruiting, so contract to hire, direct hire. I've worked in the Albuquerque, New Mexico market, and for about 2.5 years I worked out east in Boston. So kind of have unique expertise in both those areas. I'm from Albuquerque. I joined the Navy right out of high school. I think I talked to a couple other veterans, so thank you for your service. While in the Navy, I traveled quite extensively, and I also got my bachelor's degree in an MBA. And after that, I served 2 years as a PM for an e-commerce company out in California. I'm married and I have 4 germs. That's what I call them because they're always sick. Which keeps my wife and I always sick. So now about my firm, Robert Half Technology. Robert Half Technology is the technology arm of Robert Half. Robert Half was incepted in 1948 in New York City by Bob Half. He was an accountant by trade and saw a need for a temporary accountant. So here we are 60-some plus years later. We have 13 different lines of business. I'm in the technology side, which was established in 1994. And we specialize in IT staffing and job placements in the areas of technical services, support, application development, quality, project management, that type of stuff. We've been in Albuquerque for over 20 years. We're up on Louisiana and I-40. So I specialize, while I'm here, we specialize in this market. We are global. We have offices in 22 different countries and over 320 offices in North America. What that gives us, and kind of a good benefit of having that many different locations and operations, is that we have insight into hiring trends nationally. So, and we'll talk about that and how New Mexico kind of falls into that and where we stack up and into different trends nationally. And if anybody has any questions at any time, just feel free to ask and interact and that type of thing. Here's some sources that I used as a resource for this. A lot of stuff from the state, Bureau of Labor Statistics. And also my firm goes at great lengths. We partner with many different major brands like Career Builder, DICE, and some other employment staffing type places to get reports. We do surveys on from CIOs and CTOs and CFOs, and we want to see what the hiring model looks like and what the climate is out there for different industries and different job specialties and things like that. So we get a lot of research from there. So I love this slide. My wife, she tells me every morning, she's like, just have a child's perspective. When you have a child's perspective at life, in general, I think that it just makes things more magical and more wonderful. And you have to look at that when you're looking for a job, and you have to, and you're in the job market, whether you're working or unemployed. If you engage your job search with that type of point of view that anything can happen and the next person I talk to is an opportunity, then you're going to be much more networked, and you're going to have a better chance at finding that next opportunity. And that's just how it is. It's today's market. You have to be more than just a piece of paper on a resume that goes to an interview. So ask a lot of questions and just have fun with it. It's a fun opportunity to talk to different people, to network yourself, and do different things. So here's some information on New Mexico's employment. I think August's numbers just came out last week. I didn't have a chance to get them. But from July, the national unemployment number was 6.2%. And that's really not indicative of what the real unemployment market is, because we know there are people that were unemployed that completely dropped out of the workforce. We know there, so that number might be a little skewed. The real number that we want to concentrate on, and then my firm concentrates on, and the people that we recruit, is the college degree workers, because we do all professional services. The unemployment rate for college degree workers 25 and older is 3.1%. They say that a good hiring outlook is an unemployment rate of about 5%. So when you think about college degree workers being 3.1%, it's really good. New Mexico unemployment is 6.5%, so we're slightly above the national average. And our year-over-year job growth from July of last year to July of this year was 0.5%, representing a gain of 4,300 jobs. Now that is not, the number doesn't look good, but it's not bad, and I'll explain that here in the next few slides. But when we look at 0.5%, you're like, oh man, it can't be good. The outlook is bad, but it's really not. We're talking about that. Our neighboring states, Arizona, Colorado, Utah, they added more than 150,000 jobs over the last year. And what's good about New Mexico is that we have always kind of followed trends in the employment market. So, and we're always about 12 months behind. So when it's bad in other places, it's still kind of rock steady here. And then when the recovery comes, it's kind of the same thing. So we see about every 6 to 12 months, we're going to follow our neighboring states. Now I know in my particular line of business, and in the particular line of business that I'm in Denver and in Phoenix and some of the major metropolises close, that we're at record highs. My company is an all-time high in earnings, in hours of employees working, of direct hire placements. Locally, we're at a 52-week high in the number of hours of temporary workers that we have out, and in the number of direct placements that we make. So when I look at this, and when I look at what I do, and when I talk to folks like yourself, and I talk with my family, and I talk to people wanting to move to New Mexico about jobs, it's not bad. We're catching up, and it's really good. So we have a lot to look forward to. So here we have, and this is, it's kind of skewed. The gray line is the national unemployment, and it shows New Mexico's next to it. So, but what it shows is that trend, and you can, at the beginning of the recession, it hit everybody else bad, and like I said, we kind of just, kind of chugged along there for a little while. Let's see. And we actually fared pretty well, and I did some research, and I'll read you kind of some of these numbers. But during the recession, the New Mexico salary average increased 13% above the national average to where it sits now, which is about 10% right under the national average. So during the recession, like our jobs stayed strong, our salaries stayed strong. And we didn't see it. We didn't get hit as deep as some other markets. But on the flip side, like I was talking about earlier, we see massive recovery. When I was out in Boston from 2011, and I just got back in May, there were more job openings than you can imagine. And the problem has always been, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, is finding good qualified candidates that can fill those jobs. It's a real war out there for talent, finding people that are willing to go the extra step and get a certification or get some more education and things like that. So we'll talk about that a little bit more, but so I think that New Mexico is in a pretty good spot. So I was talking about that 0.5% job growth, right? So we had gains in 6 industries that offset the losses in 7 industries that pushed our growth into the positive territories. Some places where we saw growth was in education and health services. Financial activities was up, which is good. Whenever the banks are hiring, things are pretty good, and that's the way that we look at it. Manufacturing lost 2,000 jobs, and the big one was government employment registered a net loss of 3,200 jobs since June of last year. So New Mexico has always been a big government employee state, both federally, state, county, down to the minutia. So whenever we start hearing about sequestration, bases closing, the government's cutting back, that affects us more than anywhere. Okay, so when we see 0.5% job growth, when we have a loss in government, that's actually a good thing because our private industry is growing. When the private and the public industry grows, like it is everywhere else, like it is in Colorado and Massachusetts and some of the other places we were talking about, that's what creates the jobs that we're talking about. I also had some stats.
The statistic of 3,200 jobs there, is that only civil service type jobs, or is that government and contractors, or is that government and private contracts like Sandia and Los?
That's going to be your labs, Los Alamos Labs, Sandia Labs.
So not just civil service.
Civil service, exactly.
Well, no, there's
or
not just civil service.
Not, yeah, it's the combination of all. Yeah.